tuning in. If you're watching online, on air, thank you very much. Today is Friday, the 7th of August 2020, bringing you the latest news, the latest stories coming from the government of St. Lucia, live on NTN from the Government Information Service Studios. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. The lead stories for this morning: the government of St. Lucia to enact legislation to facilitate the digital transformation agenda. That is a DigiGov report. The banana farmers receive some much needed assistance from the Taiwanese technical mission, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness receives a donation of reusable face masks from the Sandals Foundation. We have these three stories coming up for you, and also they say a society is measured by how it cares for its elderly citizens. Well, we have the president of the Mongouge Club 60 and the coordinator of the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center who is in studio with us this morning, and they will be speaking to us about the work that they do, as well as work on the funds that they've received from the Independence Ball charity that was gifted their way, $25,000 from the Prime Minister's Independence Ball, a fundraiser for charities and non-profit organizations here in St. Lucia. So we will be hearing from them in just a moment, as well as the latest stories for this 24-hour news cycle. Stay tuned for that and more coming up after this break.
She's been watching, waiting, wondering when the sands of time will give way to a tide of change, and for yesterday and today to become a new tomorrow, for a time when her sun can kiss the cheeks of your loved one and her stars can twinkle in her honeymoon skies, when her earthly embrace will reassure and calm your soul, and her unique view can change your whole perspective. Proudly, she has risen to meet new challenges and to provide safe harbor to all who reach her shores. For her hopes and dreams still stand shoulder to shoulder, a precious reminder of experiences yet to come. So, wherever your moments and memories take you, let her sense of adventure set you free. She is St. Lucia. Let her inspire you.
Welcome again to the Friday edition of the Morning Brew, NTN's Morning Update, bringing you the latest news from the government of St. Lucia. Thank you for staying tuned. The government remains committed to the digitization of the public service with the recent launch of St. Lucia's Digital Integration e-Services platform, an online one-stop government shop. The platform is geared towards enhancing the government's service delivery to citizens, businesses, investors, and other governments. DigiGov is designed to aggregate 154 services across 9 ministries and 13 government agencies to facilitate online applications, payment, and to monitor progress of government services anywhere, anytime. The Minister for Transport indicated that in order to facilitate the government's digital transformation agenda, key legislation is to be enacted. We have a report coming from Janelle Norville.
A modern and responsive legal regulatory framework is paramount to the success of the digital transformation agenda. Minister for Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation, Honorable Guy Joseph, indicated that as the government seeks to streamline public service processes through the use of ICT, it is necessary to ensure that the business climate in St. Lucia has the necessary legal and regulatory support to facilitate a fair and efficient public service delivery. The government has begun this process with the partial commencement of the Electronic Transaction Act No. 16 of 2011, which came into effect on the 25th of June 2020. The minister indicated that the government is also working towards the partial commencement of the Data Protection Act of 2011, as it is another key piece of legislation to support the implementation of the DigiGov platform. A total of $110,650 have been collected from the DigiGov platform since it went live on the 25th of June 2020, and these revenues are going into the government's consolidated fund.
As of the 19th of June, we had 167 persons registered on the platform. As of the 17th of July, which is just a little less than a month, we have 753 persons registered on the DigiGov platform and accessing services. So far, Mr. Speaker, 257 people who used the platform made payments. Coming to the counter at the ministry, a total of $71,475, and online payments at Bank of St. Lucia, 145 persons made online payments, totaling $39,175.
In August 2020, more services are to be added, including applications for driver's license, learner's permits, issue of provisional driver's license, renewal of learner's permits, registration for driver's practical and theory tests, and renewal of driver's licenses, to name a few. Also in August, under Phase 3 of the project, applications of Omnibus Endorsement, Omnibus Learner's Permit, renewal of Omnibus Learner's Permit, registration of Omnibus Driver's Practical and Theory Tests. Minister Honorable Joseph explained that since the launch of the platform, individuals applying for renewal of replacement driver's licenses have been able to receive their licenses in a 3 to 5 day period with an email or text notification that it was ready for collection. The Transport Minister added that a number of steps have been taken to facilitate the quickest delivery of service, including the establishment of an express line at the Department of Transport.
The division is now offering a service of online to the public. These services are now available 24/7, making it easier and more convenient for persons to access the services and thus reducing the processing time. There are two services that are currently online, as we have already the replacement of driver's license. The division has service bureau agents on the floor facilitating the process of online applications and processing of payments using debit cards for renewal and replacement. So you can fill it out online and you can go to the ministry in person. There will be an agent to just swipe your card if you don't pay from your card at home or at another institution.
The minister indicated that additional services are to become available on the DigiGov platform in November 2020 and February 2021, as the project is being implemented using a 2-year 2020 to 2021 phased approach. Citizens are expected to have online access to 154 services, the ability to apply, pay, monitor and track transactions, ask or address queries with the click of a button by the end of December 2021. From the Government Information Service, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Thank you, Janelle, for that report. Community members in need around the island will be provided with free protective gear aimed at reducing the spread of the coronavirus. We hear more in this report coming from Fernell Neptune at the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness recently received the donation of reusable masks from the Sandals Foundation to assist community members with maintaining and adhering to the protocols for managing COVID-19. The reusable masks will be made available at various wellness centers around the island and will be distributed to people who have limited or no access to masks. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belma George expressed heartfelt gratitude to the Sandals Foundation for the donation and says it will play a significant part in protecting the health of our citizens during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Our teams within the community have been indicating that, especially at the level of community, there's a lack of adherence to the use of face masks. And the foundation has taken up in a very proactive measure, instead of just complaining about it, to provide us with support to reduce this possible problem. So by providing us with 1,500 face masks, we'll now be able to work at the level of the community and to provide face masks to them free of charge because of this donation, and to support and to strengthen the use of masks at the level of the community.
Public Relations Manager of Sandals Grant, Judy de Turville, says the foundation is dedicated to making the health of the community a priority and responding to the situation of COVID-19 in St. Lucia.
Today we're looking at our assistance through, I want to say, community, and the foundation has risen to every occasion, I suppose I want to say, because in times of need, in times of natural disaster, and in this disaster, certainly we want to assist the process as well of helping people to meet and maintain the protocols that will assist in saving lives.
The Sandals Foundation made a donation of 1,500 masks valued at 10,000 EC dollars. Reporting from the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I am Fennel Neptune.
And our last report before our interview, by the way, thank you very much, Fernell, for that report. Our last report for the morning before we go to our interview, the Taiwanese Technical Mission through the Banana Productivity Improvement Project is assisting banana farmers as they continue to battle several challenges impeding their productivity. We have a report from Anicia Antoine. On the other end of that report, we will be sitting down with Ms. Jennifer Eugene, president of the Mongouge Club 60, and Ms. Mary Pierre, coordinator of the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center. They were the recipients of $25,000 to go toward the efforts of the Mongouge Club 60 Adult Daycare. So we will be sitting down with them after this report. Take a listen.
The Taiwanese Technical Mission through the Banana Productivity Improvement Project, BPIP, has been improving farmers' productivity and revitalizing the banana industry in St. Lucia with a view of restoring the confidence of the farmers following the outbreak of the black Sikatoka disease. With domestic banana production being negatively impacted due to the COVID-19 pandemic and further compounded by the dry spell, the government of St. Lucia, through the BPIP, has been assisting farmers with the upkeep of their plantations. Officer attached to the Banana Productivity Improvement Unit, Elkanah Janki, explained that approximately 12,000 liters of oil and 9,000 bags of fertilizer have been distributed to farmers to date.
The government, through the BPIP, have provided the support to farmers with regards to one treatment of fertilizer, one application of fertilizer at 2 50 kg bags per acre or 4 25 kg bags per acre, along with one treatment of oil fungicide mix for the control of black Sigatoka. Okay. And that is free. However, in order for the farmers to be qualified for the support, the farms must be in condition. You must rehabilitate it. If the farm is abandoned or semi-abandoned, you have to clean it up, and the farm must be at a level to show that you're in production.
Crop Protection Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, Cletus Alexander, explained that the government of St. Lucia adopted an integrated approach to control the spread of the black Sikatoka disease.
What we have realized is that the use of oil alone will not sufficiently control black Sikatoka for you. Now, globally, what is happening, as you have the changing climate, the increasing temperature, on my observation, you realize that normally during the dry season, you have less moisture. So it's a fungus. So normally in the dry season, you don't have problem with fungal diseases. Now, the oil, a lot of people believe, well, the oil is a fungicide. Now, when you have fungicide means, well, it's going to kill the fungicide.
The fungus.
But the oil is not a fungicide. The oil is like a fungistat. It will sort of reduce the spread of the organism on the leaves. Now, as I said, in the dry season, it's not a problem because high temperature, the fungus is under control. But as you approach the rainy season, that is where it's a problem, because leaf wetness is a critical factor in the development of the fungus.
According to the agriculture officials, another infestation presently plaguing the domestic banana plantations is the mealybug. This type of insect can cause tip growth distortion and death, as well as premature leaf and fruit drop. The BPIP has also been taking measures to prevent and control the spread of banana mealybugs.
When we realized that we had an upsurge in the level of mealybug in the fields, our officers went ahead and we had farm clinics to sensitize the farmers on the situation and what can be done to control or to manage the levels of mealybug in the fruits. So we had these clinics throughout the island. There was also a small video that was produced by one of our officers to demonstrate to the farmers how to process the fruit, especially if mealybug is present.
The agriculture officials reaffirmed the government of St. Lucia's commitment to improving the infrastructure of banana cultivation and farmer cultivation management skills. From the Government Information Service, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Yes, I get
Wonderful.
I slept today.
Thank you very much for that news report. And now we go to our interview for the morning. We have in studio Miss Jennifer Eugene, the president of the Mongouge Club 60, and Miss Mary Pierre, coordinator of the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center. A special good morning to you both. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned earlier, the Mongouge Club 60 Adult Daycare was the recipient of $25,000 from the Prime Minister's Independence Day Ball, and that was a fundraiser for charities and non-profit organizations here in St. Lucia. And the Mongouge Club 60 Adult Daycare Center was among 17 of these institutions receiving that shot in the arm, I would say, for their efforts at improving the lives of St. Lucians. First of all, I want to engage you both on the Mongouge Club 60 and by extension the Adult Daycare Center. Tell us what is the work of both of these institutions right now. Ms. Pierre?
Yes. Thank you. Mongouge Club 60 is a voluntary non-profit organization which started in 1995. The club is members are mostly made of elderly persons, and we have the young persons too on the executive, which we call associate members. Club 60 started with Mr. Anthony Avril in 1995 when he was going around and look for blind persons. He realized the among of older persons that was being neglected and suffering at the time. So he decided to organize Club 60. And he got funding from HelpAge International, which assisted him at that time. And his field officer went around and they organized Club 60s throughout the islands.
Okay.
But right now, a lot of the Club 60s have died.
Defunct.
Yes, and we have only more Club 60s in the south of the island, functioning Club 60s in the south.
Well, in Choiseul, it's bright and shining because we're seeing an extension of the efforts and the work that you're doing with the Adult Daycare Center. Tell us about that institution.
The Daycare Center comes out from the group, from the Club 60 group, realizing that that the older persons were vulnerable. There was all kind of different things to address. So we went in 2004. We had the group in 1995, but in 2003, we realized that there was a problem with older person. One of them was neglect, loneliness, and poor nutrition. A study was done on the care of older person in St. Lucia in 2000, and that was the finding. But the mere fact is loneliness was the key problem of older persons. So that's why the Club 60 tried to address that problem through the daycare center by establishing a daycare center in the community.
Okay, so what would happen typically? How would the elderly be engaged for the day?
Actually, before the daycare center, we used to engage them on a monthly basis, where we take them in, they have social gathering, we have spiritual session for them, and we feed them.
Okay.
But when the daycare comes in, we still do that. But the daycare is a special program. That was the first daycare on the island of St. Lucia, Mongouge Daycare Center.
Wonderful.
And we established it in 2003 to address these problems that was faced by older persons.
And Ms. Eugene, being the overarching watcher as president of Club 16 Mongouge, can you speak to us about how the adult daycare has helped to improve the lives of the elderly so far? You would have gone forward in 2003 to engage them in a more meaningful way, improve nutrition, engage them on spiritual aspects and what have you. But how has it changed? Has it, to what extent has it improved their lives so far?
It is a pleasure to be here, and I'm very happy to speak on behalf of the Mongouge Club 60. When our people, well, the Mongouge Club 60 is made up of a group of people, and this group of people manages the adult daycare center. And as Mrs. Pierre has said, the runnings of the adult daycare center is separate from the Mongouge Club 60. So the group, the Mongouge Club 60, at one time was made up of over 80 persons. So these people, we would take care of their needs physically, mentally, nutritionally. We would have various outings for them, because most of them would have been elderly people and they would have been in their homes. So we would organize activities where we take them out. We would organize birthday activities where we get together. Among the clubs too in the South, we would have activities where the Southern Club 60s would come to the Mongouge Club 60 to celebrate during Christmas time or any other season of the year. Now the Mongouge Club 60, we normally have several activities during the course of the year to sustain the adult daycare center. One of the activities that we normally have is the Valentine's dinner, followed by a tea party where we engage children and adults as well. And the biggest fundraiser for us used to be our barbecue in August 4th. But for this year, with the virus on, we have not had any of these activities. So we are so grateful for the government and people of St. Lucia for having considered us to be a recipient of the Independence Ball fundraising activity.
Wonderful. And so far, I know there have been several activities happening over the years, like you mentioned, the calendar of events. How so far have the elderly citizens who are the recipients ultimately been responding to this help, this assistance, this type of engagement? Because I would imagine, starting from 2003, many of them would have been senior citizens prior to that, and they would be able to tell the difference now that they are being engaged in a more meaningful way by persons in their community. Tell us how they've been responding.
Oh, the response has been great. They are pleased, and they would say to us, if we had planned something and it didn't come up, they would say to us, but when are we having this thing? When are we going out? When are we having this activity again? Because you know, when they come to the center, they would have the opportunity to engage with other people that they have not seen for a long time. So they would socialize, they would play their dominoes, they would talk about the olden days and so on.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. We are speaking to Ms. Jennifer Eugene, President of the Mongouge Club 60, and Ms. Mary Pierre, Coordinator of the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center. And that institution was the recipient of $25,000 from the Prime Minister's Independence Ball a few weeks ago, the funds raised from that charity event. And so when we come back from this break, we're going to speak to them about how they intend to spend this $25,000. I know you mentioned that the calendar of events were not able to be held this year, so I'm certain it's going to go a long way. So stay tuned for that and more in this interview.
Cette lisi ka registre ve min corona ek I ka fe mouvement ek an chay vitesse tan chaque kanef ka kouye pour viligence publique la fe wolo parler en place publique kon bol en mai base ti boutique changer distance sociale 6 pieds hot yon a lot I ka travay tan si ou senti ko pa cordial quarantine ko pas en contact et puis l'autre en cas où te toi pe exposé c'est un ekouye free 11 ou ben n'importe clinique yo pou les pays a dimi à clé ça veut dire les supermarkets pharmacie et puis ATM yo accessible avant c'était souhait pays à clé en plein ça veut dire tout bagay fermé à 24 heures servi protocole comme sorti par bureau indication santé nous tout ensemble ça sauver vers min corona si nous tout servi jidla à toutes les
together let us win this war say we shall be a soldier together we can beat this corona.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the Morning Brew, NTN's morning update. We brought to you the latest news for the 24-hour cycle earlier in our program. And now we've been speaking to Ms. Jennifer Eugene, President of the Mongouge Club 60, and Ms. Mary Pierre, Coordinator of the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center. They've come all the way from Choiseul to speak to us this morning. And so far, we've cleared out what the work of Mongouge Club 60 is, as well as the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center. And Club 60, Mongouge Club 60 is one of the institutions of the Club 60s on Ireland that have survived over the last few years, and definitely something that I can commend you guys on for keeping up and running, especially in your district. I now want to move on, or we have them especially in studio because they were a recipient of $25,000 from the Prime Minister's Independence Ball. And you would remember that 17 charities and non-profit organizations were recipients of sums ranging from $10,000 all the way up to $50,000. And the Adult Daycare Center in Mongouge was one of the recipients. If you could speak to us about the plans for this $25,000 donation. You mentioned before we went to break that the calendar of events due to coronavirus had to be struck off. So tell us how long and how far this $25,000 will go.
Thank you again. Our needs are many and varied. But before we thought of any ad hoc plans, we met with the executive of the Mongouge Club 60 at a short notice because we didn't know if you'd be calling us so early. So we had to meet, and then we had to strategize, and then we had to plan, and we had to look at our foremost needs. So after we did that, we wrote them. And then we are there today to say how we hope to make use of that money. Foremost on the list is the renovation of a house for Augusta Conkley, a resident of Belleville-Choiseul, with her spouse, who are attendees of the Mongouge Club 60 Adult Daycare Center. We know these people that their home is not a very nice place to be. And before we came here, Miss Mary was just in transit. She was just in the area. And she decided to take a peep. Because these people have been asking from the onset, when are we opening? Because they know the good treatment that they get when they are at the Adult Daycare Center. And it was a devastating scene when Miss Mary entered around and in. So we said the first thing that we're going to do, concurrently with other things as well, is to renovate that house for this couple.
Wonderful.
So that is one of the things. We also have the sustainability of the center. You know, the center is a big place, and you have insurance to pay. You have the needs of the people to take, because we do pedicure and manicure and all of this, so we need instruments that we have to get to take care of their needs. So the sustainability of the center itself. We also have salaries to pay, because right now, the people who are really managing and who need a salary, they are volunteering their services. So we need a caregiver, we need a driver, we need a cook, and the coordinator, who is Mrs. Mary Pierre, she's volunteering her services. So she does not get paid for any of the things that she does. And Miss Mary Pierre does not only stay in the center and sit. She knows every nook and cranny in the community of Choiseul. So she knows the needs of the people more than myself, because previously she worked with the health ministry.
Okay.
So she would have been going out to the field, and previously too, she was also the coordinator of the Southern Club 60 from Dennery to Soufrière.
Okay. And so,
Yes.
Ms. Pierre, we give you your
Field
flowers
officer.
while you are alive.
Thank you. We also have a bus that was donated.
Okay, nice.
But this bus is just like a child who is sick. So you have to constantly be taking care of that bus. So we have body work and spraying, muffler, all of these things to take care of. Then, annually, through the help of corporate citizens, private citizens, well-wishers, we organize a celebration during Christmas time. Sometimes it's around the 16th or the 17th of December, to bring all the people in Choiseul who have not gone out and who are able to come to the center to have a celebration. And last but not least, this year we have, I think she will be the oldest person in Choiseul. I don't know for St. Lucia, the oldest person in Choiseul. She will be celebrating her birthday, 108 years old, on the 14th of August. So we are hoping with the funds we'll be able to do a little thing for her, look at her most pressing needs, and present something to her.
Okay, so we're all going down to Choiseul on the 14th of August.
Yes, you are most welcome. Yes. Mrs. Mary Pierre, you have anything to say?
Any additional work in terms of the way the funds will be used by the institution?
Well, she has defined some, but you know, you continue having work to do, like maintenance of our building and other little things. All these things come to play.
Of course, excuse me.
As she said, we have to sustain on our own. So it's a fundraising that used to sustain the center. And as she said, corporate citizen, donations from corporate citizens, like mostly recently all our furniture was breaking down. And we got the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saint. They replaced the chairs, the fridge, and the table, and we were very happy for this because we were very concerned about the elderly fall on these chairs. And we want to give them all the thanks for this. So you see, when people come in and assist, they are helping us to assist others. Because what we really want to do is to improve the quality of life of older persons in the community. So that is our aim. And one of our mission is to assist older persons having a better quality of lives in their final years. As Ms. Eugene said, the center provides opportunities for them to develop friendship, reduce isolation, and keep families together longer, and also offer them to learn new skills. So we don't have them there and they like stagnant, just take them and feed them. No, we give them the opportunities. Because when they come to the center, today we have 7 taken care of. And I think I have 2 more to come on the list. So when they comes in and I don't see my friend, I don't have a good day. Because why she didn't come? I have to answer all these questions. So you see the friendship.
Yeah.
As we close for the COVID-19, you'll find I visiting the homes, and for those I can't visit, I visit them, I give them, and they are so happy. They're hugging me, when we coming back, when we coming back. So I'm really looking forward to come back and have the day with their friends and then go home. So that gives the family a space where they can go to work, they can go to other places, and then when they come back, the elderly are with them. That's what the daycare is doing.
Okay. We are due for our final break. When we come back, you mentioned COVID-19. I want to know how the institution will operate under these coronavirus circumstances that we're now in, especially as the elderly are one of the most at-risk groups in the population to the coronavirus. And we will also speak on COVID-19, looking at the context of access to care in St. Lucia, the importance of elderly persons in our society. You mentioned many citizens are stepping forward to help Club 60, not just from the Prime Minister's Independence Ball. And so they say a society is measured by how it treats its elderly persons. And so we will get into that, and also looking at the COVID-19 context. Do stay tuned. When we come back, our final segment.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. We are speaking to representatives of the Mongouge Club 60 Adult Daycare Center in studio with us. And as mentioned earlier, that institution was the recipient of $25,000 from the Prime Minister's Independence Ball fundraiser, the proceeds they received from that. And we've so far spoken about how they're going to use the monies for this fiscal year. And also we've been speaking on the work of the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center. At this point in time, I want to go into the COVID-19 context. I know right now you are closed, but when you reopen, certainly the scenes at the center will look very different. Also taking into consideration the fact that the elderly are among one of the high-risk persons in our population when it comes to the coronavirus. So can you speak to plans for the reopening, and what will it look like? Ms. Pierre?
Yes, thanks. We are looking at to observe all protocols according to government protocols. Elderly persons are very challenging to care for. So we'll have a challenge at hand to make them understand that they can't hug each other as before. They can't sit too close as before.
You're putting it nicely. Yes.
They cannot play the dominoes, too many on the table at a time. So it will be like teaching children to learn something new, because even though you tell them sometimes, you have to be watching. So it will be a new lesson for us and a new lesson for them too. To keep them, you know, at the protocol.
6 foot distance, using the mask at certain
using
times.
the mask and certain times, you know. So we are organizing.
Okay.
But we need assistance in those, the masks and the PPEs, so that we can assist them with, because I'm sure a lot of them don't have these things at home. I am seeing many goes out with some, maybe they have used several times. So we have to look at that. And the care, how we delivered care to them.
Okay.
So our caregivers have to be very active and looking to see what's going on.
Okay. I just want to segue to you. The COVID-19 is also bringing to light a situation of access to care for elderly. If you could just speak to us as president of Club 60 in Mongouge about the extent of access to care for the elderly, to what extent are they being considered, taking into consideration the adult daycare center, but also the other facilities from the government of St. Lucia. How well are they responding to it? We know that some of them live in areas, remote areas, that you have to go quite long far distances. Speak to us about how they are being attended to. Just going back to June, to World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, one of the things that was brought forward by the United Nations was that abuse is not only physical abuse, it's also neglect. So to what extent are the elderly not being considered when it comes to certain things, now looking at COVID-19 and our response to it in St. Lucia?
Yes. Now, even before COVID-19, I used to be annoyed. And I always used to speak on behalf of the elderly persons and as well as children. Because even if when elderly persons would be traveling, waiting for a bus to do their groceries or whatever, sometimes the bus drivers wouldn't stop for them because they would find that they are too slow in getting on the bus, or they are not neat enough in getting on the bus. So on many occasions, I had to speak on behalf of the elderly to bus drivers, to other people in the community. And I would also say to them or remind them that we all have to get old at a certain time. And I also tell them that sometimes they don't even get to see or benefit or leave the age of an older person. But as the COVID situation is on, you see it is more glaring that some elderly persons do not have anybody in the home to take care of them, anybody to go to the banks for them, nobody to do the groceries for them. So this is a challenge for them. So they have to struggle to get some of these things done on their own. So I am looking at the future. I am thinking that we will have some mechanism in place that when older persons need to go and do something, that you have somebody to do it on their behalf. Even those who are not able to come to the center, because those who come to the center have to pay, but those who come to the center never pay because they do not have the finances. Sometimes you'll have 1 or 2 persons out of the 7 that are attending who pay. So that would be a great help to them. So we organize it in such a way that these persons would be given help. And sometimes even the food that have been given to these older persons, they would need somebody to cook it for them so that they reap the benefit of the nutrients from the food. But in St. Lucia, you know, sometimes you have neighbors who take on the task. They do it voluntarily to check on the need of a neighbor and maybe prepare the meal for them and to give it to them. Yeah.
Now that's how you certainly judge a society, but how well you treat the elderly in the community, you know.
Yeah.
Any observations on your partner sphere in terms of the way we treat our elderly so far?
Yes, you spoke about abuse. Well, we see that happen every day, and mental abuse is one that goes unnoticed. Many people are being abused by calling names and things like that, and people don't understand that. We take it as a joke, but it's not a joke. We have the mental abuse of the elderly. There are times when the elderly are being prevented from speaking their right, or they don't involve them in even higher decision-making process. I find that is one of neglect or abuse, I will call it, because if there is a process being made to change the quality of life of older person, they should be there at that decision making. Just don't take the decision on our own and just put it on them. We have to involve the elderly in whatever we are doing. Like we have the club, we involve them in every aspect of the club. We are going to do something, like we have our executive meeting, next meeting is theirs. We invite those that can come in to a meeting, and then we discuss. We were at GIS, we were there, we got this, we got that. That is their business.
Transparency.
Yes. Let them know what's going on. And that is something I'm always looking forward that will come. Also, I'm looking like we may talk about abuse from today until tomorrow, but nothing changes. We have a policy in the pipeline for older persons that's been dragging from 2004 to date. It has not been enacted. And it looks like nobody takes it on. But we in the South, as Club 60s in the South, we are looking at that, and we are very eager to see if we can help in assisting for the enactment of this policy for older persons. Because without a policy, even though people abuse the older person, where are we going with it? We can't go nowhere, because we don't have a policy saying X and Y.
Any final words as we wrap up for the morning?
Well, on behalf of the Club 60 again, Adult Daycare Center at Mongouge, we take this opportunity once again to thank everyone in the small island of St. Lucia. All the persons who have considered Mongouge Club 60 in kind or cash. We have members of the church groups who assist us. And as I've said, corporate citizens, individuals, and even the members themselves help the Club 60 in terms of whatever produce that they have from their homes. When we have activities, they take along to the center to sustain the center. So I'd like to thank everybody.
Ms. Pierre?
Yes, also I would like to say a big thank you to everybody that helped us throughout the years past and to come. In the future, we're looking forward to the future. Thank you to everyone. We have some organization who makes a big difference, like I'll mention Spectra, Massey. And don't think we don't accept the small ones. We want to say it coming from our heart. We want to say thank you. Without you all, we cannot have a daycare center. And finally, I want to say thank you to the organization who gave us $25,000. Make-A-Wish Foundation, Miss Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, Alan Chasney, his wife, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and everyone who worked to make this project a success. Thank you.
And thank you both for sitting in the name of transparency and talking to us about, how these monies and even other projects are being rolled out at your institution. Jennifer Eugene, president of the Mongouge Club 60, and Miss Mary Pierre, coordinator of the Mongouge Adult Daycare Center. Thank you both, especially you, Miss Pierre, because you going into the community at this time of the coronavirus and seeing about the welfare of the individuals, the elderly in the Choiseul community is commendable. Thank you both very much once again. And with that, we conclude this morning's brew, the NTN Morning Update. Thank you so much for watching, and do tune in come Monday when we bring you more news coming from the government of St. Lucia. My name is Jessie Leon, signing off for now. Do stay tuned for more NTN programming. Goodbye.